There's usually a moment when something shifts. When you go from feeling like you're still figuring it out to realizing your voice actually carries weight. Maybe people start listening differently, or maybe you just see your perspective change the outcome. Maybe you realize you don't have to know everything to have something worth saying.
I learned that my voice mattered in the trucking industry and at our company when a lot of vice presidents started to actually look for my opinion and my advice when we were working on projects together or starting to roll out a new product, and they appreciated having my help and would listen to any opinions I had on how we should do rollouts or what path we should go down for a project.
For me, that realization happened gradually over time. As I gained more experience in fleet, I started to develop a strong instinct for how things work. And a lot of my insights initially came from gut feeling based on experience. But over time, I learned how to back that up with data. And once I started pairing the instincts with real data, people began to rely on my input more. And I eventually became one of the go-to subject matter experts for fleet. And that was a really meaningful moment because it showed that the knowledge and experience that I'd built up over time truly mattered.
I think a moment that really stands out for me is when I pushed back on a fleet decision that had been made at an executive level without the full operational picture. I laid out the data and the impact, and leadership actually shifted direction. It reminded me that bringing operational reality to the table really matters. And it's our job as fleet professionals to speak up when something doesn't add up.
I realized that my voice really mattered when I stopped feeling like I had to have every answer to every question. I understand that leadership is often about asking the right questions of my team or asking the right questions of the customer. And the fleet industry is really constantly evolving, and it's so much about creating alignment between what the customer needs and what our technicians and what our team is able to deliver. And so I really want to empower others to have that alignment and empower the people that have the technical expertise to really have that seat at the table with the customer to ensure that we are showing up in the right way.
I realized my voice mattered at work when I started to uncover processes on the operational side of our business that didn't account for my team's administrative time. It is really important to make sure that when you're calculating profitability, that you're including your operations team's investment in whatever process is being done to execute on revenue. At one point, we were working on what we call our purchase program, which is a program where we help clients find vehicles and help secure them using our vendor relationships. And that program was never designed to have an upfit component, but we were being asked as a team to design upfit for this particular program. What we found was that their engagement wasn't actually being included in the profitability for that particular product that we offer. So I was able to work with other operational leaders within the organization to make sure that my team's time was accounted for, and that when we look at profitability as a whole, that we are making sure that that is backed out and that we are still profitable on the product and that we're still able to provide this to our clients in a reasonable and profitable way for everybody involved.
Early on, I noticed a big gap in what companies thought was happening to their customer versus what was actually happening to their customer. So I got really close to it and I started listening and watching and then speaking up and using real examples of how our processes were impacting the people that we had designed them for. And honestly, as soon as I started doing that, everything changed. And I firmly believe that when you are in the customer's corner and you're speaking on behalf of what their actual experience is, you really can't go wrong.
I have been very blessed to be able to work at a company like Cox Fleet. We have a strong culture that every voice matters. Everybody's voice is expected to be heard. And that doesn't mean it has to be in your silo or a box. Everyone can have an opinion. There's a very humble culture that we instill And it is a perspective that just because your title says you're here does not mean that you know everything. Having that psychological safety to be able to challenge the status quo. I think it is very important from an industry perspective is that people are one of the most valuable assets that we have. And so making sure that we are using that collective brain power in a way that benefits us is a tremendous asset to us as an organization and something I value.